One in the room. Welcome. Get you a drink, pen, and pencil because I'm going to show you that they've been preparing to restore wealth to the people through pilot programs or testing programs. So keep checking in and we'll get started in just a few
Guiding
minutes.
others to free themselves. Soul tribe rising, hear her call, raising vibrations for one and all. Dr. Kia shows the way to a brighter, freer day. From currencies to investments divine, she's helping her tribe to realign with wisdom, ancient and new, showing what we all can do.
Hit the like button, family. So good to see you here.
Soul tribe rising, hear her call, raising vibrations for one and all. Dr. Kia shows the way to a brighter, freer day. Soul tribe rising, hear her call, raising vibrations for one and all. Dr. Kia lights the way to a new and brighter day.
All right, Soul Tribe. Welcome, everybody. Hit the like button coming into the room, family, and say hello to everybody. Welcome. I see somebody asking about universal income. So there's a difference between universal basic income and universal high income. But first, let me welcome you all to the Soul Tribe podcast. This is Dr. Kia Pruitt. Chief Mac may be joining us a little later just to give his insight, but we are going to have a private group meeting right after this public group meeting because I have some information that I would like to share about investments that only investors know what's going on behind the scenes. So if you want to join a private group, hit the join button on any of my videos on my YouTube channel and you'll be in. So today we're probably going to do a Zoom call so that people can actually chime in, give their thoughts and their voices. And if they want to cam up and turn the camera on, they can. So as a matter of fact, let me go ahead and set up that Zoom meeting for anybody that wants to join a private group this morning. It'll probably be around 1:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I've already got it set up for the YouTube meeting, but I need to make sure I also have the Zoom meeting link up. So we'll go ahead and set that up because hey, the private group said they want to see each other. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to make sure everybody gets to see each other if they want to cam up. So what we're going to do today is talk about what's coming down the pipeline. First of all, though, let me know how you're feeling in the chat. Because Chief Mac and I were talking and he was saying, you know, people have been reporting feeling tired. And I told him, I said, I have been feeling like exhausted, just mentally and emotionally. It could be because I'm so busy reporting, you know, all over the place, reporting. I have membership groups, I'm reporting all on my social media platforms, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all over, LinkedIn. And I've been working on my book. So the book is called The Silver Legacy, and it tells the story about how I got involved in silver. And it tells the story about how I had a great grandfather that had accumulated wealth for the family, but it was spent up before many of us could enjoy it. In one generation, it was completely gone. And that left the rest of us living in abject poverty. So I want to tell you all about that in my book, but I also go on into the book about what money is. We're going to talk about the evolution of money, the history of money in my book, The Silver Legacy. And then I talk about how you can accumulate wealth and what wealth is considered to be, hard assets. We talk about the difference between investors and legacy builders, and how my job is to actually teach people how to become legacy builders. A legacy builder is a person that's concerned about their posterity and leaving something behind for future generations. Not just leaving money behind, but leaving values behind, leaving spiritual values behind, spiritual instructions as well for your future generations. Now, somebody had asked me before, if we are accumulating wealth, why do we need to pass it down? And I say, because you can't enjoy all the wealth we're going to have in this reality in one lifetime. And then others are asking me, if we're all going to be wealthy through universal high income and through Nasara, why do you need gold and silver? That's a great question. The reason you need, or I would encourage you to have gold and silver, is because gold and silver, precious metals, is about more than money. It's wealth. Gold and silver and copper actually helps restore your health and well-being. This is why we wore it. It helps you ascend in consciousness. It raises your vibrations. We have silver and gold and copper receptors in our brain, meaning that our brain attracts gold, silver, precious metals, and it resonates with those metals as well as precious stones. This is why we've had Orisha Stone on our show, and encouraged you all to please contact him, whether it be on email or any of his social media platforms, Facebook, YouTube, Orisha Stone, to make you jewelry that resonates with your being, resonates with your purpose, your intentions. In fact, his whole motto is wear your intentions. And these precious jewels, stones, metals will attract wealth to you. But you accumulate gold and silver because it's wealth, because it restores your health, because it helps you raise your vibrational frequencies, and because it is something you can pass down to your future generations. We're going into a whole new golden era, family, called Corona. Corona means gold, as in crown, as in Christ consciousness, the great awakening, opening up our consciousness, helping us to ascend in consciousness, letting us know that we are more than a human flesh. But this golden era, or Corona, is about restoring human life, restoring our value, restoring our prosperity and our sovereignty. People have been accumulating precious metals for thousands of years, not only for their posterity, but for humanity. So we've had poison in our foods, poison in our water, poison in our planet, poison in the skies. We've had health issues, sicknesses, and dis-ease for hundreds and thousands of years. But you have very unselfish families that accumulated wealth, not just for their posterity or their future generations, but for humanity, period. So when the Minister of Wealth, Dr. Kia Pruitt, tells you that this is a good idea, if you can, and if it is in your value system, or if it's in your budget to accumulate wealth, is to pass down this wealth to your family. But also, in the event that any entity ever tries to enslave the planet again, you and your family will have built up a legacy for yourselves, yes, but also for society. Imagine what we would be going through if these dynasties that people are dependent upon, like the ancient dragon society, white dragon society, ancient Asian generations or families, ancient African, ancient indigenous. There are ancient peoples and societies, families all over the planet that have been accumulating wealth that's going to put this out or inject it into the global economy now so we can clean up the air, water, and land. And we can have humanitarian projects. This is why we keep saying that people need to know and research sovereign wealth funds. Sovereign wealth funds are comprised of real estate, stocks, bonds, precious metals, oil, foreign currencies or foreign reserve notes, all for the time that we're living in. So if we accumulate it now, we can pass it down. That's what legacy builders do. And we can prepare ourselves in the event that some entity tries to come and enslave the planet in the future. And we can say, our families can say, because we're going to instruct them, we're going to put it in our trust. This is part of what we're doing in the trust. We're going to teach them how to use this money and this wealth, and we're going to instruct them to leave a portion of it for humanity in general. So again, legacy builders are different from investors. Investors, they buy they buy low, they sell high. They look at the markets. It's like it's a hobby or it's a lifestyle for them. But legacy builders, thank you for sending me the Cash App gifts. Legacy builders don't sell their wealth. In fact, wealthy people instruct their children and their posterity in the trust, never sell the land. Never sell the land, never sell the wealth. Okay. You don't sell. Legacy builders build up something for their posterity and for society at large. Well, as investors and traders, maybe they do this for a lifetime or they do this for a lifestyle or for a hobby. And some of them can do it for a job. Legacy builders can be traders and investors, but they hold on to their wealth. This is something I learned from Andy Scheckman, the CEO of Miles Franklin Precious Metals Company. You don't get silver and gold to sell it off. You get it to pass it down to your future generations. So keep talking, family. I'm doing something right now. I'm setting up something for you all to see. Let me know what you think about this as I set this up, this meeting up. See, time of well. What do you think about what I'm saying? And we're going to get to the podcast in just a minute. I wanted to give you all time to come in, check in. We got 262 people in the chat. I see all of my accounts linked up except for Twitter. If you all have been trying to find me on Twitter, someone usurped my Twitter account. Okay. And took over somehow my password, my login information, my name, my phone number. They took over the whole account and I lost like over 25,000 followers. My whole account was taken over. When I reported this to Twitter, instead of helping me recover my account, they deactivated my account altogether. So now I have to figure out how to get my Twitter account back, or I'm going to have to restart another one. Thank you, Jimmy. Jimmy Sturgis asked, if we receive universal income, what do we have to give up? Nothing. In short, nothing. The intro was fire. Thank you. But I want to talk about that. Hey, Sister Janine, our moderators in the house. Welcome. It's good to see you. So what we're talking about today is universal high income. And the reason why I'm talking about that is because I mentioned it the other day. The universal high income is a part of the plan. The plan is to give everybody a certain allotment of money every single month so that we can enjoy a life of freedom, prosperity, and sovereignty. Now, universal high income is a phrase that was coined by Elon Musk, who is a billionaire, but he's seeding it into our consciousness that we're all going to be wealthy. What Elon Musk said is AI is taking over jobs. You all know that they're automating everything. He did not talk about how the government is closed and insolvent, but he did say AI artificial intelligence is taking over jobs. In order to compensate for that, we're going to have to give people a certain allotment of money every single month. Now, he said, with the advent and the implementation of artificial intelligence, that's going to give the whole world abundant prosperity and wealth. Now that we're all going to be wealthy, we need to be able to enjoy the wealth and the luxurious lifestyle that we're all going to have by having an income. When you listen to what he's saying, the rhetoric, and I'm going to show you what they say about universal high income, it is in alignment with NASARA, the National Economic Security and Reformation Act that I've been talking about since 2017. The National Economic Security and Reformation Act has a global version called the Global Economic Security and Reformation Act. That act was signed into law in 2000. It was supposed to unleash and release trillions of dollars of funds into the global economy through a lot of the trusts that have been established from families all across the world. The Philippines has money as well. I didn't even know that the Philippines was actually a United States territory till my grandson, Amin Ra, told me that. And I had to look it up. I was like, what? The Philippines was part of a United States territory? He said, yes, that's why they have wealth that America is going to be using. There was an agreement between the Philippines and the United States of America. So at a particular time, wealth is going to be triggered, a button is going to be triggered, and that wealth is going to be released. My grandson is like, that's why you're affiliated with Princess Elizabeth, who is a what he says, who is a trustee of the wealth that's in the Philippines. She's connected to certain bloodline families in the Philippines, and the Philippines was a part of U.S. territory. They have an agreement. All that wealth is coming to America and to the world, as well as the trust you all have been hearing about, the Rodriguez Trust, the King Solomon Trust, the Ancient Dragon Society Trust, all these trusts. So that's part of Nasara Jasara, that trillions of dollars will be injected into the global economy, that everybody will receive tens of thousands and maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars per month, that med beds and advanced technology will be released, and that they'll decimate and deconstruct all of the governments all across the world that had enslaved humanity. If you're not sure what Nasara Jasara is, please look at my YouTube channel and just type in Nasara Jasara or Google NESARA Dr. Kia Pruitt. Videos will come up all over the place because I've been speaking over a decade about this. So now I knew about Nasara Jasara. It was signed into law in 2000. And the reason why it was signed into law is because the farmers took the United States Incorporated and the Federal Reserve Central Banking System or central banking cartel to courts to the highest level. They took them to the world courts. They won their claims. The military then took over the United States Incorporated, which had usurped authority from our lawful government, the Republic, and they started systematically dismantling the governments all across the world. And behind the scenes, they're restoring the gold standard and they're returning sovereignty to the people. So once that was signed into law in 2000 and 2001, we were supposed to realize Nasara Jasara on 9/11. But instead of us enjoying the wealth, what they did was they stole the gold out of the World Trade Center and the towers in New York, and they imploded the towers, and they sent a CGI plane into the Pentagon from which the announcement was to come on 9/11/2001, and they just blamed that whole fiasco on the Middle East. And they usurped that time, which is supposed to be a time of freedom, prosperity, peace, and celebration for our wealth being restored as a whole nation of peoples, and they usurped it with war, surveillance. They put in a bunch of surveillance ways to keep us further enslaved. They closed down, airports where people couldn't just freely go in and out of airports because they claimed somebody was trying to bomb America. They just did. You guys know what 9/11 was. But this year is the 25th anniversary of 9/11. It's going to be a year of wealth. And it is the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, freedom from the British Crown. So it makes sense that Elon Musk is now talking about universal high income. Let's look at universal high income. It is not the same as universal basic income. But universal basic income is the pilot, or was the pilot program to test it to see how universal high income is going to work. And I want to give thanks to the Mogul Madam, one of my YouTube friends and actually a part of our Soul Tribe membership group, because when I mentioned this the other day, some people didn't believe that UBI programs were just testing programs or pilot programs for universal high income. So what she did is she actually found receipts for me and said, if anybody tests your knowledge and information again about universal high income, I want you to show them this website. So I'm going to show you a website in a minute. Universal basic income is a government program, okay, that is a testing pilot for universal high income. Now, people are asking, what do I have to give up in order to receive this universal income? Nothing. And I'll tell you why. Universal high income, or UHI, is an emerging economic principle or concept that advocates for the government to issue robust periodic checks to all citizens so they can enjoy a life of abundance rather than just covering basic survival. So the universal basic income covered basic survival needs or particular needs, and that was issued out by the government or the United States Incorporated or the governments from different countries all over the world. But this is something different. Even though Google is saying universal high income, or UHI, is something that will come from the government, I'm going to tell you, it won't come from the government. The government is insolvent. The United States Treasury Department issued out a report, September 2025, that says that the government is insolvent. That means the government is defunct. It can't pay its bills. That's why we're under a partial government shutdown right now. And it's also the reason a lot of people were encouraged to take early retirement. That's why hundreds of thousands of people lost their jobs in the government. The government doesn't exist anymore. These funds, universal high income, is actually, this is Dr. Kia Pruitt speaking now, going to come from the Sovereign Wealth Fund. President Trump created the Sovereign Wealth Fund when he first came back in 2025. I reported on that as soon as he did it. He said the Sovereign Wealth Fund is, again, comprised of precious metals, hard assets, oil, land, rare earth minerals, money from taxes, foreign currencies or foreign reserve notes, and other wealth. And a sovereign wealth fund, he said himself, would be for the people, to invest into the people, humanitarian efforts, and the infrastructure in our country. He also said it would be invested in other places to bring in more wealth. This is why he brokered trade deals with China, the second highest economy, and with the Middle East, and trillions of dollars to bring that in to put in the sovereign wealth fund. And he said in 2025, when he first came back, other nations have a sovereign wealth fund. We just didn't know about it. The sovereign wealth fund, family, is what's going to pay out this money and not the government. The government does not exist anymore. It's insolvent. If you've been following me long enough, you know that the Supreme Court ruled in 2024 in June to overturn the Chevron doctrine, which had given the government unlimited powers. And they deemed the government unlawful, treasonous, unconstitutional. And that, therefore, will resurrect the republic, our lawful government. So universal high income will give checks to all people. This says to all citizens. It's actually to all the nationals. If you want to know why Trump is coming hard against birthright citizenship and illegal immigrants being here, it's because all of these foreign nationals they'll tell you they're foreign nationals, have a homeland. They will receive their universal high income in their homeland. If you don't believe me, look at how Guyana, about a year or two ago, said we're giving all Guyanan nationals or Guyanese nationals money, but you have to be in your country. You have to be a national of Guyana and you have to be in your homeland. You can't be abroad. So the periodic checks will actually come to the nationals of the nation. So you can enjoy a life of abundance rather than just enjoying or covering basic survival. It is proposed as an AI-driven solution to mass automation, shifting the focus from mere welfare to a post-scarcity society. What is the opposite of scarcity? Abundance, surplus, wealth. This is championed highly by tech leaders such as Elon Musk. The idea gained significant traction amid surging artificial intelligence layoffs and labor markets. Now, conversely, universal basic income focused on a safety net that covered basic necessities like food, shelter, what else? Clothing. Conversely, universal high income or UHI assumes that artificial intelligence and robotics will create such massive economic productivity that scarcity will disappear. It is coming. That's why they're talking about it. They always tell us what they're going to do before they do it. Thank you for 444 people being in the chat. Hit the like button, please, family. And thank you so much for those of you, I hear you coming in with the Cash App gifts. Thank you so much. Greetings. Yes, so foreign nationals must go home to receive their wealth. It's not about trying to keep them from realizing the American dream here. Well, to an extent it is, because the American dream is for Americans, not foreign nationals. But our country was usurped, and our republic, our lawful government, was usurped or taken over by foreign nationals from other homelands. And they were usurping not only our government, but our wealth that was for the American people. So in order to realize that, they will have to go back to their homeland, which is a wonderful thing, because all the things that foreign nationals have learned here while they've been here, all the skills they're utilized here, they can take back home to, help their countries to thrive. Nobody's going to receive or accept universal basic income in the golden era because it will not exist. Now, universal basic income was something that some states were using already. When I was living in California in 2018, family, there was a city right outside of Sacramento. Does it start with an R? I can't think of the name of the city, but a brother became a mayor there. An African-American indigenous brother became a mayor there in that city. And he issued out an allotment of money. He said, I know he's doing a pilot for 1 month, and he was thinking about doing it every month. It was $500 a month. And people were like, why is he doing that? What gave him the authority to do that in this city outside of Sacramento? Well, it was a pilot program. Other states have been doing this. We just didn't know about it. And if you didn't know about it, if you didn't receive the information or the memo, then you may have been left out, unfortunately. Here it is. You probably had to know about it or learn about it so that you can apply. Go to this website called basicincomepilots.com. Thank you, Madam Mogul. Because when I reported on how universal basic income was the pilot program for universal high income, I got some pushback because people never heard of it before. And you said, oh, I got the receipts. Thank you, Madam Mogul. I appreciate you. Shout out to Madam Mogul. Follow her on, it's either Madam Mogul or Mogul Madam on Instagram. She's been on our YouTube channel, not Instagram. She might be on Instagram, but she's on Twitter. because she uses AI to help people create humanitarian projects. She's been on to show us this. I think it was like a year or two ago. We need to bring her back on in case you all need AI to help you with your humanitarian projects. But look at this. Basic income pilots. They've been using pilot programs to test what it would be like to give people an allotment of money periodically. See what a pilot program is. Pilot is one who's employed to steer a ship. We know that. A person qualified or licensed to conduct a ship. Interesting. Ship, maritime law, admiralty law. They've been steering these programs to see what it's going to be like when we go into our era of abundance. But let's look at pilot program definition. In government, what does it mean? It's a small-scale preliminary trial designed to test a new policy, a new technology, or public service. It allows agencies to evaluate feasibility, identify operational challenges, and measure outcomes on a limited group before committing the significant resources required for a full-scale rollout. In other words, they've been using pilot programs to test to see how people respond to these programs with universal basic income to cover certain basic needs so that they can know how they're going to roll out a full-scale universal high income program. Basicincomepilots.com. You can search right here, put in your state. Let's put in California. Oh, I already have California right here. California. Let's see what happens. Put in search. Oh, there are some listings. I saw that. Hold on. First, let me go to basic income pilot. Let's go to the home. Yeah, let's go to the home, see what happens. Am I on the home screen? I'm showing you how universal basic income was used as a pilot program for universal high income. If you look here on the map, we're on the home page. If a circle has a number in it, there are more than one pilot program in this location. Click the number to zoom in and see more. So let me bring up this map. These are where the pilot programs were. They were testing this out for universal high income programs. 74 concluded programs. Only 62 are active now. You've been seeing 1111 over the last several days. 11 is a portal. It's a doorway out with the old, in with the new. 11 is also a high vibrational number. It's called a, it escapes me, a prime number and a master number. So look up 11 and you'll see that it represents a doorway or a portal through which wealth and abundance enters. Thank you for that question. 444 was in the chat, which represents divine protection, inner stability, and universal alignment. All right, thank you. So rise and shine, family. Let's look at this. Let me put this in the chat for you. Basic income pilots. This shows you all the pilot programs. I'll put it also on my Instagram account. Here you go. Thank you for being a part of our family, Instagram. I see you here. I have a separate chat where I can look at Instagram and all my other social media platforms. Again, if you've been trying to find me on Twitter, my Twitter account was compromised, so we're working on that. Here you see Washington has pilot programs. California has several. Arizona, New Mexico, where else? Nebraska, Oklahoma, Texas has several. There's one in Florida. I didn't know about that. Oh, Miami? No, that's Upper Florida, somewhere Upper Florida. Oh, no, that one, Oh, that's concluded. There was a program in Florida. That purple dot is included. I mean, concluded. It's over. So where else were there some? It says 62 are active. So Minnesota, Wisconsin has programs, Michigan, Indiana, New York, Boston, Washington, South Carolina. You all can tell me in the chat the states that have pilot programs, do they have something in common? Look like there are several here in Texas, several in California, some over here, New York, Washington, Boston area. Are most of these blue states pilot programs? I'm not sure. Okay, so that is basic income pilots to cover basic needs. Now I want to go for search and I'm going to put in the state of California. See if I can find what, oh, you can, if a screen pops up, Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, California, goes all the way down to Washington, but it's not all states. Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Florida, Georgia, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, Mississippi, Nebraska, New Jersey, New Mexico. It might be all New York. Okay, it goes all the way down. Okay, so I'm going to put in California. I love California, beautiful place to live. Let's go to search. But I know the politics there are not good. For some reason, I see a bunch of New Jersey projects that come up. You see, even though I put in California, New Jersey came up. These are experimentation programs or pilots to cover basic needs. Here's one in New Jersey, in Trenton. It varied. The amount was 3,333. See the number for per family in the households. And I don't know what it was for exactly. I'm gonna click on it. The New Jersey income maintenance experiment was designed to estimate the extent to which workers and poor families would be included or induced to work less by new income maintenance programs. The New Jersey income maintenance experiment, it was just a test or a pilot designed to estimate so they can figure out, they can just kind of guess the extent to which workers and poor families would be induced to work less by new income. So they would work less if they got more income. The importance of and rationale for the experiment are presented here, and some preliminary results are presented and evaluated. They targeted individuals and households, means testing, and demographic. Families with at least one working age male who was neither a full-time student nor disabled with an income up to 150% of the federal poverty level, 3,330 for a family of four in 1968. 1968. What? They've been testing these programs this long? Look, implementation, this particular program was implemented between 1968 and 1975. So they've been implementing universal basic income for a while. That's New Jersey. Let's see if I can find another program. They have artisan grants. Elm City, I've never heard of Elm City. Elm City pilot programs. New Haven, this is all still New Jersey. So let me see if I can get out of here and go to another state because I saw something with California earlier. I want to go to all pilots. You can go here to the home, you can search, you can go to all pilot programs, the ones that are active. Maybe we'll go to the active and the ones that ended or concluded pilots. So the government work, they do experimentation on people and families to gather data and to inform them of how they're going to move in the present and in the future. Interesting. Here's something called the Thriving Providers Project. I just want you all to see that the Universal Basic Income Program's been going on in America for a long time. They don't have any data on when this has been implemented. Here's a program description. Thriving Provider Project works with regional partners to provide direct cash payments to families, friends, and neighbors, caregivers, or neighboring caregivers, and newly licensed family child care home providers. How much did they give? $500 USD monthly for 12 months. That's the duration. Participants are offered an optional peer support group of other home-based child care providers through their local CBO. What I would encourage the Soul family to do is see if you can avail yourself of some of these basic income programs. If you're concerned about them being in your business, government's always going to try to be in your business. So go to the website and read the information on these programs and see what the guidelines are and the qualifications. But I just wanted to show you that this has been going on in America and across the globe, actually, as you see, for decades. So I'm going to leave that for you to explore on your own. I saw a program in California that gave money for housing for the LGBT community and for other communities, but the LGBT community that live below a certain poverty guideline. Universal Basic Income is a government program. They have certain qualifications, and it probably operates just like other welfare benefits, food stamps, what people are calling EBT, TANF, temporary money for needy families. I think temporary assistance for needy families, TANF. Section 8, if the government gives you benefits, but the government can monitor who's in your house, who's not in your house, and all that. The Sovereign Wealth Fund and the SARA is supposed to be for all nationals of a particular nation. And that money and wealth is supposed to come from funds that are for only the specific nationals in a particular country. If you don't want to receive NASARA funds, or you don't trust that the money coming from the Sovereign Wealth Fund is for your liberty or your posterity, or is in alignment with who you are as an individual or alignment with your values, then this is a good opportunity or a time to accumulate wealth on your own so that you won't have to receive those benefits. But if you want to know where that money's come from, it's not just the Sovereign Wealth Fund, it's also coming from your trust. It's coming from your birth certificate bonds. It's coming from your Social Security account, because your Social Security card has a number on it. That number is attached to a central bank somewhere in this country. And that bank has your money in it. People call this the TDA accounts. Treasury Direct account that each of us have. All of us have that were born in a hospital, at least have a birth certificate, and most of you have at least a Social Security card, but you have a birth certificate. That birth certificate that was signed off by our mom, who was considered the informant, was then taken from the hospital. They're all in cahoots together, sent to the government, whatever that agency was, a particular part, securitized, and then traded on a New York Stock Exchange. Those birth certificate bonds were then put in a trust. That money that accumulated over time was supposed to offset any expenses that we had. But instead, the government used that to pay off their debts and to pay other foreign nationals that they allowed to come here. They use our birth certificate bond, they use our Social Security money, and Social Security number, which is a bank account number, actually. And they use money that they got from all these other countries that were buying up United States Treasury bonds. But guess what? Nobody's buying United States Treasury bonds anymore. They're not buying up United States of America's debt. United States of America, the corporations debt, they're dropping the bonds. In fact, not only are countries all over the world dropping United States Treasury bonds, they're not trading with the United States dollar, which means the dollar is plunging to zero. It's losing its value. So they have to do something. If the dollar is losing its value, what they're going to do is they're going to restore the gold standard. It's a basic economic principle that as the dollar loses value, precious metals increase value or go up in value. So why do we see precious metals dropping in value right now? I really can't tell you, unless they're just suppressing the markets. There's a huge sell-off where people are selling off their assets for some strange reason. Stocks are dumping. Gold is dumping. Silver is dumping. Cryptocurrencies are dumping. Bonds are dumping. Even oil is dumping. This is what somebody from Ted Pillows on Twitter said, but we verified this. Everybody's dumping their assets. On paper, that's what it looks like. We don't really know what's going on behind the scenes, right? Join my private group and I'll share a little bit about that. But what I will tell you here is this is an opportunity for you to accumulate wealth for your posterity, your future generations, and for yourself, because we are going to the gold standard. There's no doubt about it. If you follow Big Swear on YouTube, he has a channel called Road to Root. I've been following him for about a decade now. He talks about how Federal Reserve banks, he used to work for banks as a banker and wealth manager. He said the Federal Reserve central banking system knew that they would collapse years ago. And they published something called Wishes and Rainbows, a coloring book that was on the Federal Reserve website. And they said, and Wishing in Rainbows, which was a coloring book, because they thought people wouldn't take it seriously, they could just put it out in a coloring book. They said there will come a time when the Federal Reserve will be dismantled. The USD will lose its value, and we will have to put the gold standard back online because the US dollar is backed by nothing, the USD. Stocks are dumping, gold is dumping, silver is dumping, crypto is dumping, bonds are dumping, even oil. This is what my son, Dex Lattimore, calls the everything bubble. He told us months ago, and I just re-aired that video yesterday. Months ago, he said the whole bubble is bursting. He's an economist. He actually has a degree in economics. He called it the everything bubble. And he not only has a degree in economics, but he specializes in international business. That's my son, Dex Lattimore. He's been on the show many times. He came on months ago, and I re-aired this yesterday because I knew this was the era in which we're living. The everything bubble burst. What on the original podcast he said is going to burst. Next, we're going to gold and wealth. Make sure you look at that video. He talks about stocks collapsing, the real estate market collapsing, commercial real estate, buildings being empty, whole neighborhoods being empty now that people are being deported. He talked about a lot of different things I never even heard of. How cryptocurrencies were collapsing. That's the everything bubble. From an economic perspective, some people would call this the black swan financial event. Financially, everything is collapsing. But at the end of every empire, I'm going to put this in the chat for you to read, to see, so you can look at it in your own time. At the end of every empire, this is what they do. They spend up as much money as they can. They print up as much currency as they can. They buy themselves assets, and then they crash the system and restore the gold standard. This is how Big Swear knew. He was a former banker. What's going to happen with the markets? And he's been screaming for a long time, get gold and silver because we're returning to the gold standard. He said the Federal Reserve Central Banking System published that in their publication called Wishes and Rainbows. Ruta was a main character on the road to Ruta. She was on her road to someplace. Look at Wishes and Rainbows. Follow Big Swear on Road to Ruta, ROADTOROOTA on YouTube. And he also has a website called Road to Ruta. He's been talking about this for a long time. Look it up. But he talked about how the Federal Reserve central banking system has been talking about behind the scenes. As a former banker, he knew returning to the gold standard. Again, at the end of every empire, here's Road to Ruta's YouTube channel. Very brilliant man. Oh, I haven't subscribed on this channel. I've subscribed to my other YouTube channel. Very brilliant man. He talks silver alert, massive gold deposits along the Colorado River. People don't know that we have gold along the Colorado River. I speak about more of that in my private group when we come on at 1 o'clock. Cliff High says, what he says, $5 silver days, 20 reasons not to sell your silver. I don't know what that's about. I haven't seen it, but this is his YouTube channel. You want to follow him, and you also want to go to Road to Ruta. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. .com. As a former banker, he said they would be crashing the system, the Federal Reserve, and return it to gold. Oh, as I was saying, basic economic principle, something I actually learned studying economics and being in alignment with some gold company CEOs, is at the end of every empire, the people in power, the government, racks up the debt. Remember Janet Yellen, who was the Fed chair under Biden, said, we've reached the debt ceiling. We've got to take extraordinary measures to alleviate this issue. One of the things we can do is take money from the government workers' retirement accounts to pay off the debts. We've reached the debt ceiling. It was 33 trillion. Now it's almost $40 trillion that we know of. We got to take extraordinary measures. Again, they were at the end of an empire. This is Dr. Kia Pruitt's commentary. At the end of every empire, they reach the debt ceiling, rack up the debt, print out as much money as they can, because the Federal Reserve were the ones who had the printing press that could print out all these fiat dollars backed by nothing. They rack up the debt, print as much money as they can, accumulate assets, and then they crash the system. Therefore, they have to return to a sound monetary system. It's called the crack up boom. Crack up boom. Look it up, family. We're at the end of the empire. All of these nations have depegged their currency from the USD. What gave the United States dollar world reserve currency status was the United States incorporated that fake faux government that usurped our lawful government republic. The United States Incorporated had an agreement with Saudi Arabia. They would protect the Saudi kingdom in exchange for oil, and then force all nations to get oil only from Saudi Arabia, not from Venezuela, who has oil, not from America, which has more oil than every nation, not from anybody else but Saudi Arabia. So the United States Incorporated will protect the Saudi kingdom, the Saudi princes who actually owned land in America and owned all the casinos in Nevada, protect the Saudi kingdom in exchange for the oil, and force all nations to get oil only from Saudi Arabia. And they must use the United States dollar to do it. That's what gave the United States dollar world reserve currency status. That's what made the United States Incorporated have financial and economic hegemony, making them the leader, having dollar dominance, making dollar king, making them the king. Well, in 2022, Saudi Arabia joined BRICS: Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. When they joined the BRICS coalition, that ended the deal between Saudi Arabia and the United States Incorporated, unbeknownst to most people. But guess who reported it? Andy Schectman and Dr. Kia Pruitt on the Dr. Kia Pruitt show, that by 2022, Saudi Arabia had joined BRICS and dumping the dollar. Then by the fall of 2022, 85% of the global population had joined BRICS: Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, that whole coalition. People didn't know that ended the relationship between the United States Incorporated and Saudi Arabia to protect the Saudi kingdom in exchange for their oil, and force all other nations to get oil only from Saudi Arabia using USD. Project Sandman was a secret agreement between 209 nations to, when triggered, stop trading with the dollar, dump the dollar, use their own gold-backed currencies for trade, and they agreed to world peace, which is why when President Trump came back in 2025, he created the Board of Peace. to replace NATO and 66 other so-called international organizations of which we were a part. The Board of Peace. Trump does everything for a reason. So the Board of Peace created an avenue for them to keep their agreements, that's Project Sandman agreement, to world peace. It replaced NATO and 66 so-called world organizations. And he had created the Sovereign Wealth Fund. So what was the trigger? 209 countries agreed behind the scenes to when triggered stop trading with USD and to world peace. The trigger was Vladimir Putin uncovering all the nefarious activities going on in Ukraine, including what the Biden crime family was doing. That information went on to James Comer, who was over the House Oversight Committee. You can go to oversight.house.gov, type in Biden in the search, and you'll see all the stuff that was highlighted against him and his family, or the person playing the Biden character. But anyway, when Putin uncovered all that, he said, by the way, I also have vaults showing the characters in the Bible and how they were copper colored, sharing how Jesus looked like the American peoples, the indigenous, autogenous American peoples misclassified as Black, Negro, colored, African American, saying you all need to wake up and overtake your government because the republic is being restored. Who wrote the republic other than the indigenous people in the America? So when they say we the people, they're talking about the American people, the national sovereign people who are the indigenous people on the land. The indigenous people and the Americans and anybody we have covenant with that came here did not agree to allow all these other foreign nationals in our nation. Therefore, they must go back home because the chiefs on the land are back in control. And our republic, we the people, the indigenous people, are back in control of their government. That's why we're here to wake you up. So all the people that were here that were afforded the opportunity to live off the wealth of the land must return to receive and enjoy the wealth in their own lands. Birthright citizenship was a 14th Amendment clause that was added to the Constitution. It was never ratified. Therefore, the birthright citizenship question shouldn't even be a question. It's unconstitutional, unlawful, and treasonous. It was never ratified. But let's play along and pretend like it was. The 14th Amendment was added to the Constitution. We must ask, which Constitution? Was it the Constitution of the United States Incorporated, the unlawful government, or was it added to the Republic? I'll leave that up for you to research. Here's a cheat code. It doesn't matter because it was not ratified. It's unconstitutional, but let's play along. 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment was created after the Civil War, which some call the Silver War. Got to research that one. I was blown away when I researched that, but we'll play along. After the Civil War, these amendments were added to the Constitution for African Americans. The children of African American slaves could now become citizens and become birthright citizens through the 14th Amendment. That was another trick, using trickery and casting spells on people to call themselves citizens, because African Americans are really, that is a categorization of meats, whether you call them colored, Negro, African Americans. They're the indigenous copper colored races discovered here by Europeans. That's the 1828 Webster's definition of American. Copper colored races encountered by or discovered by Europeans, but now applied to Europeans. Just because American is applied to Europeans doesn't mean that the Europeans that were brought here by the Moors are Americans. It's the copper colored races discovered by Europeans. But they cannot be citizens. They're sovereign nationals or Americans, just like Russians are Russian and Filipinos are Filipino. And they'll tell you when they get here, I'm Filipino American. I'm Indian from East India, from the continent of Asia, American. I'm Thai American. No, you're a Thai national, you're an Indian national from the continent of Asia, you're a Filipino national that may have been given citizenship status from the United States Incorporated, which is an unlawful, illegal, treasonous entity that no longer exists. The United States Supreme Court deemed the United States of America as treasonous, unlawful, unconstitutional in June of 2024. It's easily researchable. And all federal judges that align themselves with the United States Incorporated, all 445 government agencies, they're committed treason. And all judges that knew of judges that went in alignment with this, they committed misprision of treason. That's why judges and attorneys are being arrested today. And that's why they're panicking. That's why they're online right now as immigration attorneys telling all the immigrants that are here, sign up for our lawsuit. Taking the money from the immigrants, knowing that they've already lost the war. It doesn't matter if you win one battle. Everybody must go home to receive their wealth and help build up their own nations. Even the so-called Native Americans that are here are being held in question because many of them, while some of them are indigenous because they married in and they had, children by the indigenous copper-colored races that were already here, Black folk was already here. Okay, they changed our categorization from indigenous to Negro, Black, colored, African American, and all this other mess. We're indigenous. The Native Americans may be native born, but they're not natural born. There's a clear distinction. You must study etymology and know what Black's Law Dictionary says. There are many renditions of Black's Law Dictionary. This is just a dictionary that the government uses. Native born means you were born on the land, but your blood is not attached to the land. Okay, your people then spring from the soil. Native born and natural born, two different things. The indigenous autogenous people have the same genetic material that's in the soil in their colon because they literally sprung from the soil here. That's why we talk about being seeded on the planet. Who seeded us here on the planet? Was it an extraneous God, sky daddy, or was it extraterrestrial beings? Who knows? Why do you think they say ashes to ashes, dust to dust? From dust you have come, to dust you may return, because people sprung from the soil. Those are natural born. That's why there was a question of who can be a president. Kamala Harris was just one they picked. None of them could be the president of America. They can be the president of the United States Incorporated. But you have to be natural born and subject to the jurisdiction. A lot of these people are native born. They were born here through birthright citizenship because their parents either dropped them off here or their ancestors that are called Native Americans crossed the Bering Strait, escaping Asia. That's why they look Mongoloid, because they're Asians. And they set up shop in their teepees on reservations, who are allowed to squat on the land or stay on the land and manage certain things on the land for a time period. But President Trump said, you don't look Indian to me, and you don't look like Indians to Indians, because they're not Indians or indigenous to this land. They weren't natural born. They didn't spring from the soil, and neither did their ancestors. Now, they might have many generations been born here, but their ancestry comes from Asia. That's why the birthright citizenship question is here and on the table, because people that squatted on the land, people that were invited here by the United States Incorporated, that unlawful, illegal, unconstitutional entity that's now insolvent, has no money, everybody's dropping their treasury bonds, can't pay these people any more money and give them benefits. They're defunct and no longer exist. And they only have the ability to grant citizenship. They cannot grant sovereignty. That's given by the Most High or the gods and acknowledged by the republic, lawful governments of the land, or lawful republics of the land. Republics acknowledge sovereignty. Corporations, United States Incorporated, faithful, treasonous governments, they grant citizenship. A citizen makes you chattel property of the government. Indigenous, autogenous people are not property of the government. They were the free white persons on the land who were misclassified as Black, colored, Negro, an African American, which is a categorization of produce and meats. They put their people, their puppets in place, like James Brown, God bless his soul, singing, "Say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud." Black is a status in law that means you have no standing in law, no status. You're unrecognizable because you're dead. White was our status. The blacks are the European slaves that the Moors brought over here with them as colonies and placed them in certain places in the Americas because they used the colonies, unbeknownst to the Europeans that came here, to colonize the indigenous autogenous people, copper colored races here. But the colonies didn't know that's why they were here. All they know is they were slaves to the Moors that came here, and the Moors had a war with us indigenous people over here. We lost the war. They made us prisoners of war, or POWs. Shout out to Sheikh Jacob Bey, who told us that's why we have the prisoner of war flag waving at all federal buildings and courthouses now, saying prisoners of war missing in action. All of you prisoners of war, indigenous, autogenous, copper colored races, that's at the bottom of everything, every economic stratification, every system. The so-called African American, you're at the very bottom. Prisoner of war, POW, MIA, missing in action. You are not forgotten, is what's waving on those black and white flags. You are not forgotten. This is why the Colombian president said to the whole world at the United Nations in November 2025 that the so-called black people are the only true indigenous people of the Americas. He was making it listen, he was saying, you're not forgotten. Time to wake up. Your government's being restored. That's why Russia, Vladimir Putin, when he went to Ukraine, said, hey, I'm going to open the vaults and let y'all see what Jesus or ISIS looks like. Melanated being, wake up. They did say he had copper colored skin, like burnt bronze, fire in his eyes, hair like wool. Wake up. That's why now more people are acknowledging that the ancient map shows everything starting in America. All Babylon, Morocco, Egypt, it doesn't matter what, just pick Mesopotamia, the Red Sea, all of those started right here in America. Even the Garden of Eden is in Florida. All of it. America was the beginning of everything. It was the Pangea that split up during an earthquake, and then the peoples migrated outward. Everything started here on Turtle Island, also known as, some people call it Temeria, America, whatever you want to call it. But birthright citizenship is unconstitutional, unlawful. It has nothing to do with the Republic. It is a part of the United States Incorporated, and they granted citizenship, made people chattel property so that they can give them benefits and privileges. The United States Corporation grants citizenship and privileges. It does not grant rights. So for all the people that saying, I was born on the land, I have a right to vote, I have a right to be here, I have a right to wealth here, you don't have a right. You had privileges. You had the rights that are afforded to you are acknowledged by your homeland, the land of your ancestors. That's why people are being told to return. It's not to be cruel to people. It's actually honoring your ancestry and all the wealth that they left with their posterity. And it's going to benefit all of these people's lands. Now, those that will be allowed and remain must abide by certain rules and principles of our newly restored government, our republic. But you still will not be granted, you still won't be called citizenship, because that's a part of the old guard. People came here, millionaires came here in their last trimester, had their children here, brought their various wives here, to have a bunch of babies here, and just by birth, they were allowed to get all the privileges of Americans and the other citizens that were here just by virtue of being born here. And then their parents, because they had United States citizens here that were getting benefits, they got benefits, they got housing, they got money, they got access to no interest bearing loans, they got access to abilities to create businesses, they got access to wealth. They got access to prominent positions like CEOs of banks, CEOs of corporations, working in politics. And they can say, oh, but I'm attached to the land. My children were born here. Or their children could rise up and say, hey, my people came from Asia, but I can be a vice president, Kamala Harris, and my skin is brown, and I can teach all these Negroes who don't realize that they're the autonomous indigenous people, that I'm the same as them. I'm Black. No, you're Asian. You're Indian. You are what your mother is. And nation acknowledges, some people say that you are what both of your parents is, but more correctly, what your mother is, because you came from your mother's womb. There's an old saying that says, mama's baby, daddy's maybe. Because it's hard to prove you came from your daddy unless you do a DNA test. You are who your mama is. In a certain community, you is who your pappy is, your mammy and your pappy is, your mammy, your mama. But let's play along and say you are what your daddy is. You can be from if your people didn't spring from the soil here, you're not American. You're a citizen, chattel property of the United States, which is why you pay taxes to the United States government. So you have all these people say, I pay taxes, I have rights. No, my darling, you pay taxes to a defunct, unlawful, unconstitutional corporation that was incorporated in 1871 in the state of Delaware as a nonprofit religious organization headed by the Pope. They have statutes, codes, and policies, not laws. They have a constitution of the United States incorporated. They are not the same as the lawful republic, which has a constitution for the republic, for the sovereign people on the land. The indigenous people, they have the rights to the land. They have the blood rights to the land and the resources and the soil here, not people from other lands. Now you can marry in and gain wealth that way. But the entity that gave citizenship, they don't exist anymore, my friends. And they don't grant rights. You paid them taxes, that had nothing to do with us. Because those trillions of dollars that the United States Incorporated is in debt is owed to us, we the people, the indigenous, autogenous people. Your mammy makes the difference is what Chicago said. Yep. Chief Mac in the house. Chief Mac, I sent you a link. Maybe you can further enlighten us on how the money that they owe us is going to be returned, and how that money was stolen from the Pentagon and from the World Towers during 9/11 because they didn't want to pay us. I want you to iterate on how they have to pay us for being prisoners of war. I don't have a lot of time, so I would ask you to speak for about 15 minutes, Chief Mac. I sent you a link because a lot of us just didn't know. Indigenous people didn't know. The Native Americans that were allowed to come over here and squat on the land, they didn't know. They've been called indigenous. They're not. They're from Asia. That's why they look like Asians. I always wondered that. Now, some of them did mix in, so we'll give them that. Foreign nationals, I've shown you all the pyramid many times. They are living well in most of them, not all of them, in America. Way better than the average American or white Americans or European Americans, and definitely better than the so-called African Americans or Black Americans, which are the autogenous people here. Now, I'm not even trying to be disparaging. I'm just letting you know. They didn't know, and all these people that were allowed here, they knew that they can have loopholes. They knew that they knew some things. They knew that they were getting more benefits than us, and they were told to stay away from us indigenous people because we're lazy. We don't want to work. They got Black fatigue. Here's the thing. If you think you don't have money, Americans, why are their businesses here in America? Their businesses, people from other nations. Why are they in America? If you people classified as Black that are indigenous people, you think you don't have money. Why do you think they have businesses in your community? Extracting the wealth. All people have to return to their homeland. The ones that will be allowed to stay here, they'll have to be able to agree, with whatever the Republic says, and they'll have to live in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Look at the median household income. Everybody that's here in America. We say marriage matters. Everybody need to be, they have 2-family households. They have education. A lot of them come over here with education. Some of them don't. But Trump told you a lot of people are rich people having their babies here so they can extrapolate the resources from America and enjoy the money that's in their lands. And they come on these H-1B visas to be engineers, do infrastructure, work in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. Like we can't do that ourselves. And they said, well, we should be able to stay here because we helped rebuild the infrastructure. No, you can go home and do that in your country that's dilapidated and collapsing, and some say unlivable. We don't want to go back home. We've had children. Yeah, your children have gotten the minority scholarships that were earmarked for African Americans. That's why we did away with affirmative action and DEI programs, diversity, equity, and inclusion program that were for the indigenous, autochthonous African Americans that literally hired people from other landmass, foreign nationals, and said, well, they are minorities, and Caucasian women. They are minorities. But it was earmarked for, at least we were told anyway, for the indigenous people to compensate for all the enslavement, colonization, and for being prisoners of war. I'm not even going to hold you or be upset because most people didn't even know it. But you benefited. You had a good time. You called yourself American, which you're not. You're a chattel property of the United States Incorporated. You gotten handouts. You had your babies and your baby mamas here. We don't acknowledge extra wives in America. We don't acknowledge polygyny unless you are a Mormon. Why they can do it and other people can't, I don't know. We ain't gonna hold you though. You brought your baby mamas here, said they were your wives, let them bring all their 1600s of children here, drop them off, and now we only acknowledge one wife. That's the one you have paperwork with. The other ones are baby mamas or single mothers, will be nice, and they can get welfare, EBT cards, Section 8 housing, food. We're talking about hundreds and thousands of dollars per person per month, while they call Black women or women classified as Black welfare queens. While you're driving your Bentleys and all of your high class and high end cars, getting food stamps and benefits. Oh, the gig is up now. The jig is up. Indian Americans, $100,000. This is on average per household. Look at the top of a pyramid. I'm not talking about Native Americans. I'm talking about the ones from Asia, East India, the Brahmin class. I'm talking about most of them come from the Patel family that owns the motels. 80 to 90% of the motels in America are owned by a Patel, one family, one group of people from one city in India. Fact check me. They got the H-1 visas. They can go back home and now they can build up their infrastructure, because when you look at the infrastructure of India, you see that they need help. But it's called brain drain when the United States government and other corporations that are owned by foreign nationals go and recruit the people to come and work in America because they still living on top of the African Americans, head the indigenous people. Making fun of us, staying away from us, but making money off us. Now we got to wake up and stop doing business with everybody else and their mama that's in this country and start creating our own businesses and do like they do and practice group economics. But I digress. Filipino Americans, 83,000. Taiwanese, 82,000. Sri Lankan Americans, they're Sri Lankan foreign nationals, 74,000. Japanese foreign nationals that they call Japanese Americans, 72,000. Malaysians, 70,000 on average per household. That's not even including the government benefits. Chinese Americans, 69,000 on average. Pakistani, 66. White Americans, Caucasians, 59,000 on average. Korean, 59 too. Indonesians, 57 On average, they bring home 57,500. The average American only brings home 56,200. So who all these women talking about they gonna target, looking for a rich man that's 6 foot, makes 6 figures with 6 inches of penis are talking about? I don't know, because the average American makes 56,200. Let's stop being brain dead and act like we got some common sense. Marry who loves you and who can work with you, and let's build something instead of being delusional, paying all these life coaches and marriage coaches and dating coaches all this money to tell you to go steal somebody else's husband and somebody else's man, and it doesn't care, just get the money, baby, because he makes above $56,000. You want to be a baby mama and break up somebody's home for some fiat dollars? You're going to pay for it because you reap what you sow. Indonesians, 57,000. The average American, 56,000. Thai people that are here, 55,000. Bangladeshi make 50,000 on average per household, not including the government benefits or the low interest bearing or free or no interest bearing loans for their businesses that they have here. Nepalis make 43,000 on average. Hispanic or Latinos make 43,000. And at the bottom, $35,000 per household on average, African American households. This is why everybody got to go home. These are the indigenous, autogenous people, the Americans, the nationals that have birthright claims to the land, blood right claims to the land, the only ones that have blood right claims and ties to the land. Don't play with us. Donald Trump is doing God's work. He is working to restore wealth and land and resources back to the American and to all other countries by sending people back to their countries. And all the other nations seceded to Trump under his first administration. We saw the sword dances in Saudi Arabia and elsewhere. We know this is why Charles came here and doing a concession speech to President Donald Trump. What are you supposed to do? And Melania Trump. Yeah, people got the nerve talking about Black fatigue. We tired of them complaining. We tired of them acting a fool. Well, go home. If you tired of what somebody else is doing in their own home, on their own land, in the land of their ancestors, go home. We'll deal with the Black fatigue. And use that money that they were giving you, what you already do, to go build up your own countries, because the GDP, 30 to 40% of a lot of these countries' GDP, their economic, their finances come from America. They send their people over here, or they come here, drop off their babies, or they come here, overstay their visas, get all this help after they've broken the law to overstay their visas. And the attorneys, many of whom are immigrants themselves, help them to stay here through lawsuits. Well, it ain't gonna work anymore, because why? Our ancestors have returned and we're exacting vengeance. What I mean by vengeance is not war, is not violence, it's justice. Justice. Everybody on their own land, the land of their ancestors. And if you own somebody else's land, if I go to Taiwan, if I go to the Philippines, everybody wants to go to Taiwan, Vietnam, Philippines. If I go there, guess what? I'm not allowed to overstay my visa. I can't have a baby and all of a sudden it becomes a citizen. I'm not allowed to vote. I can't even buy land. I can lease land for up to 99 years. I don't get government benefits. None of this. I have to abide by their laws. Imagine that. And I have to respect the people. Imagine that. I don't get to wave my flag or cuss out their government or have protests. I don't care if they're peaceful protests and speak against their government. And guess what else I have to do? Learn the language and respect the culture. Do people relearn our language? Some of them don't. That's why some of the legal citizens that are here from other countries say, hey, these new ones over here that are coming to America, they don't have to learn. We learn the language because we respect America. Everybody doesn't respect America. They don't speak the language. In fact, they expect you to get on their program, learn their language. Make that make sense. And they don't respect our culture. Well, agree with it or not, you're on our land. You're in our house. You weren't even invited by the indigenous people, a lot of the people that are here. You were invited by the faithful, treasonous, unconstitutional, unlawful government that no longer exists anymore. They gave you citizenship status, but now they're revoking because the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. The owner and the slave master giveth and the slave master taketh away. Do you know what chattel property is? Chattel is cattle. That's why you've been paying them taxes. You've been paying them honorarium or tribute for allowing you to be here to take what belongs to somebody else. Maybe unbeknownst to you. That tribute has to come back to the indigenous people. Who are we the people? The ones who wrote the Constitution? Who do you think wrote the Constitution? The indigenous people on the land. Why did they bring Europeans here? Because the Moors who enslaved and colonized, concubines, criminals, prisoners, and they allowed them to flood the Americas to usurp authority from the indigenous people who are now prisoners of war classified as Black, because Black means you have no standing in law. There are two ways you can take over a landmass. You can either bring in the military or you can bring in your slaves and your colonies and your babies and your mistresses. See, when you bring colonies, those people pay you tribute that we call taxes. I pay my taxes. I have a right to say, no, you paid your taxes to the British Crown and the United States Incorporated, baby. They gave you a privilege. Now they're defunct, insolvent, and unlawful. Read about how the United States Supreme Court overturned the doctrine. Read the report issued a report September 2025 that the United States Incorporated is insolvent. It's cheaper to bring in a colony than it is to bring in a military. You got to train the military, you got to buy them food, you got to give them wives, because that's why they got all these young men here, so they can colonize the women here, bring them here without the wives. They're military age men. They promise them, whether it's over covert, out there, just outwardly saying you can have a woman, just let them run free on the land. You colonize by bringing in that's going to pay you tribute, call taxes, or however. You give them benefits. You put them over the banks. You put them over entertainment while you're still pulling the strings. You put them in key places over research institutions, higher education, hospitals. And you give them original indigenous people classified as Black, you give them their white status, and you create an ideology called white supremacy, and you say you have more autonomy and more power than the Black people who are really indigenous peoples on land. You give them Black status, you mix everything up, and now everybody in their mammy's confused. Who's behind the scenes though, pulling the puppet strings? These are Moors that have dark skin, who are, many of whom are fallen angels or Nephilim, or had babies with humans. Some are humans, some are extraterrestrials, some are hybrids. The Bible talks about the giants. They enslaved the Europeans and the world enslaving folk. Then they came here, brought the Europeans, gave them positions, gave them land, called all slave indigenous peoples. But it's all coming to an end. And having said that, let's welcome our chief, the chief of the Soul Tribe, Chief Mac. Chief Mac, greetings. Welcome. We're greetings, inviting you. Welcome. I'm going to plug up my computer and talk. Go ahead, Chief.
Well, greetings.
Yes, sir.
Again. So
we're listening.
A nice
greetings, Chief.
About what's been happening to the indigenous people in America and all other people that's been brought over here. Just so you know too as well, guys, is that something that's really financing the whole world is when you factor in all of the prisons throughout America. And out of all of those prisons in America, you have 80 to 90% they are filled with indigenous and indigenous people. What a coincidence. And then we find out that
Wow.
out of
Yeah.
all,
They can't
and
hear you. They can't hear you, Chief. They're saying they can't hear you. Chief,
hold for,
Chief, we
hold
can't
for
hear
1 second.
you.
Hold for 1 second.
Hold on. Hold on. Yes, sir. Thank you for being here. Thank you for 523 people being in the chat. Hit the like button. Express your feelings. This may align with you. This may seem outlandish. Express your feelings, family, in the chat, and we'll respect your thoughts and opinions. All right, Chief. I'm gonna sip on some coffee while you talk.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Hold for.
We hear you. That's better.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. That's much better.
Hold for. I can't hear you. Hold on.
You
Let me
can't
pull
hear
over.
me. Okay.
One more time. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
I can hear you, Chief.
Yeah. All of the people, when you factor in the 80 to 90% of the so-called black people throughout America and the prison systems, that's got to be over 20 million people of the indigenous
Hmm.
people in prison systems throughout America. Over 20 million. Now,
Hmm.
and the numbers are counting. And so this is how the United States corporation gets to funnel and continue to bring these people in our land. And guess what?
Hmm.
I found out, which a lot of us know right now, I brought it out, is that when black, so-called black people go to prison, this is how, this is a money grab. It's a money
Hmm.
grab. Everybody's estate is being looted and pulled from. That's why they call trustees in prison. And so all
Oh,
of,
okay.
and listen, you ever, when these people come over here, they they know the script. This is why they're told to stay away from us.
Hmm.
They're told to stay away from us, don't befriend us or anything like that, because they're banking off of us, and then
Hmm.
they're prideful with it. So we're up right now. We're up. We're woke, and we're tired.
Hmm.
We're sick and tired of what's been
Sick and
happening.
tired.
Many of us have turned on each other because of lack.
Hmm.
We don't. We have been conditioned so bad not to, fight what we can't see, but fight what we can see, which is us around each other. But the prison system. So we need to be putting together as the indigenous people. And listen, when we talk about this for anybody else, any other so-called race or nation of people, if you're angry or don't like us talking about this conversation, then that says something's wrong with you.
Hmm.
Because if the shoe was on the other foot, you would feel the same way.
Hmm.
So just know that everybody, all of the wealth, initial wealth, came from the United States, from the people in this land, which is us so-called blacks or African Americans. And this is why they put us in jail. They had to find out a way that they could pull from our state, and they were clever.
Hmm.
So the prison system uh, started booming in the 70s, and this is war. We are at
It
war.
is.
They
It
put the gun
is.
on the streets. Then they sent the boys in blue after us. I can remember on the news they showed these. They been sending them. They created laws on the books, and they went through the inner cities. Man, it was just snatching up, and that crack cocaine tore up like no other drug has done worldwide. The crack cocaine epidemic that was sent to the Gen X, but it was sent for us and a lot of our parents.
Hmm.
Parents like your dad, my mom, all my aunts and uncles, and I later found out that they wasn't able to miss the epidemic of crack cocaine being put on the streets of America. and it
Right.
tore up families. So this is what
Tore up
happened
our families. Yes.
in the 50s or 40s. This wasn't happening. We knew who we were, but they put that crack on the street. It tore us up. It tore us up, and that's when the prison systems started booming. And we never knew. Now we found out that the reason being is to have access to our states, and that's how the world is really getting rich.
Somebody said that the prisons were, somebody called them a bank, somebody called them warehouses, and they said that's where they basically locking up people, putting them in prison as human trafficking.
But then that's when the gang population in the cities, back in the 60s and early and
Mm.
the gangs, we took care of each other. We didn't we went out there killing each other. We made sure we took care of the neighborhood. We watched off each other. It wasn't the way it is right now. So the gangs
They were infiltrated, right?
were created by deep state. And you
Okay,
know
okay.
how I know emphatically that they are created by deep state? Because
Mm,
when I started looking at signs and symbols rule the world. Signs
mm,
and rule the world, and numbers don't lie. When I started studying, I got some really, really deep books that, some really deep books that I had read for maybe 11, 12 years ago. And it was showing certain signs and symbols and hand gestures, what they truly mean. So when I look
mm.
I see the way they shake each other's hands, when they hug up and shake each other's hands, I understand what that's all about. So a lot of these gangs, the signs like the Vice Lords, Disciples, the One Ways, the Crips, the Bloods, the Blues, the
Mm,
Red and Blues, that's all Freemasonry.
mm.
It's Freemasonry.
Hey, Chief, you had mentioned before that,
That's Freemasonry.
okay, you
The
had mentioned,
6 point
oh,
stars and
mhm,
six put down the Vice Lords and all that. That's Freemasonry.
mm.
So they are behind this. And then who started Freemasonry? Who are the hidden hand behind Freemasonry? Who are the true people behind creating the Ku Klux Klan? Who who is the head behind the United States Corporation? Who
Who
cre-
is it?
who created so-called Israel in 1948, which is a corporation just like the United States Corporation?
Mm.
The black nobility.
Who is it?
The black nobility.
The black nobility.
They're behind it all.
Mm.
United States Corporation. They're just using people as pawns. So our eyes are focused on them.
Let me say something before you move further. I'm going to share people with people what that looks like. So this is who they call the hidden hand. They hide out in their gated communities, family. We only know of people that run things. We think we know who run it, and I probably don't even know. There might even be more than this. Here are the 13 families that we think rule the world, right here. The Astor family, the Bundy bloodline, the Collins, DuPont, the Freeman, the Kennedy bloodline, the Lee bloodline, the Onassis bloodline. Remember, we had Kennedy on the show the other day talking about Kennedy and blood. And Onassis, that's why they were rich. They were in the oil and stuff. The Reynolds, the Rockefeller, the Rothschilds, the Russell, and the Van Duren. But here are the 13 families, according, and I got this from a military, somebody who worked in the military. The 13 families that actually ruled the world: the Borgia, the Breakspear, the Somaglia, sound like Somalia, Somaglia, the Orsini, the Conti bloodline, the Shigi bloodline, the Colonna bloodline, the Farnese bloodline, the Medici bloodline, sound like medicine, the Gattani bloodline, the Pamphili bloodline, the Este bloodline, and the Aldobrandini bloodline. So you got 13 families, according to what I got from the military, that we know of rule the world. We already hear about the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds, but then there are bloodlines that control them. And then you got to
Come
think of
on.
who controlled those bloodlines. They're more than likely extraterrestrial beings. Go ahead. I'll put that, see if I could put that up on my post section or community section of my YouTube channel.
But
I yield to you. Oh, somebody asked, why are they called the black nobility? Some people also call them the blackamoors because these are beings that have very, very dark skin, and they try to shapeshift to look like humans, but they're not humans. That's why you hear songs like Kendrick Lamar saying, I think it's Kendrick Lamar, they not like us, they not like us, okay? Because these are beings that shapeshift into humans, but they are heavily melanated beings. They also mate with humans, and they create certain paradigms and ideologies like white supremacy, the secret societies like Skull and Bones, Boule, Eastern Star, what else? Freemasonry, which they probably just co-opted our ancient ways of doing things and called it, what they want to call it in the secret societies. But if you've seen pictures of the Pope kissing, kissing the feet of heavenly melanated people, they look like they're from North Africa. Okay, those are not the indigenous American people. Those are considered the black nobility or the hidden hand or the blackamoors, which is different from the Moors or the Muurs, according to my research that are here in the. They always usurp people's identity, Moors, because they were mooring the shores, making the prisoners of war, indigenous people, Muurs, Moors, prisoners of war, and enslaving us and enslaving people all across the planet. So the black nobility allegedly is because they have heavily melanated skin as beings that are not humans, that masquerade as humans, that went around the world usurping governments, trading secrets, trading advanced technology to presidents and prime ministers in exchange for human bodies in order to do experimentation on us. Miss Cherokee said Chief told us the other night that Kendrick Lamar was singing about in his song "They Not Like Us." Okay, I also know that as well. Thank you. Emerson said, "No, you must know that everything you need. You know that you have everything you need because you each are everything and more." Hey, Chief, welcome back.
Hold on for a second here. This is bullshit,
Okay,
man.
that's okay.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, dear.
Listen, that's a very important topic you brought up because I was going to go to it. See, guys, it's all becoming so clear right now. When you talk about the black nobility know how powerful the indigenous, intelligent Americans, so-called black men and women, are here in America. See, we have powers too. If you watch
Mhm.
the series called The Great Separation 1, 2, 3, and 4, go to YouTube and put in The Great Separation
Deep.
1, 2, 3, and 4. Just came out last week.
It was
Then you will
great.
understand, you will have a clarity and understanding as they needed help. They
Mm-hmm.
needed help to wage war against us because of the power that we had. And this is why they ran a full court press and making sure when we're born in these hospitals.
When you consider who seeded us here, you know why we have the superpowers that we have, and we're activated by the sun, which is why they try to block out the sun and try to encourage us to use sunscreen and take vitamin D. There's synthetic vitamin D when vitamin D comes natural to us from the sun, but the sun attacks certain other bloodlines. It activates us. That's why they try to encourage us to use sunscreen. That's why they try to encourage us to cut our hair, or what you can cut your hair, but use certain chemicals on your hair because those chemicals are used to keep your pineal gland calcified. So when the sun tries to activate you, it is fighting extra. But now the sun is burning hotter, and there's a second sun. There's an inner earth sun. Some people say there's even a third sun. This
It is
sun
a
is
third time.
activating the indigenous people. the superpowers are superpowers. And that's why they've been talking about they all these different people in power were trying to tell people all of a sudden it's okay to mix babies and do something different, try something different, mix the races, have sex with copper color indigenous people or so-called black people. They want to activate themselves and they're trying to survive against the sun, which is burning up some of the genetics that cannot live in the sun. Go ahead, Chief.
So this is why they needed help. So watch this right here. And this information going to come out. You guys going to do, if you do enough research, you'll find it out. The black nobility were behind creating the other races because from an East landmass, and the East landmass that the black nobility was on, they shipped and brought people over here to the United States, which is the oldest land out of all lands, which was the land that they needed to conquer to take over the world.
Yeah.
Once they got their roots here in America and created the other nations, because all land masses in the beginning stages, not now you have white brothers and sisters who are saying this. It's just not us. They're saying, I had a clip that I'm gonna play, but I'll do it live tonight. A white gentleman was saying that all land mass, and I have been saying it for years, were indigenous land masses in the beginning. All land mass. I got a picture that I'm gonna post on my Facebook page. I'm gonna post on YouTube. It's gonna show you the original Asian Chinese people. They were smaller people. They got low hair. They really can't grow afro, but they had low hair, slanted eyes. They look like a dark-skinned Chinese folk. Cause and they're still over there in Asia. They just don't show them. They're still over there. And you got pyramids and some of the pyramids over in that land. They just don't want to. They you know what they did? They created the rice field. The rice fields are on top of pyramids. That's it. Instead of lying and said that they're landfills, they call them rice fields. Here in America, the landfills are your pyramids.
Okay. Wow.
Right there in Virginia, they got something called Mount Trashmore. Mount Trashmore. About 3 years ago, I was flying over to the Indian powwow, and something told me to pull my phone out. And the reason I know, because I know that wherever you see a long river, there's a pyramid next to it. So I saw this in the plane. I saw a long river from the plane. So I said, wow, that's a river. And these rivers are ancient rivers that were created by the indigenous people to keep the land purified and clean. So when I saw it, I took my phone out. Guess what I see, guys? I see a giant pyramid from the plane.
Wow.
Look, just from the plane.
Wow.
I'm gonna see if I can go get that. I posted that to my page 3.5 years ago to my Facebook page. I saw a giant pyramid from that plane. When I was asking questions on Facebook and people, guys, there's something that looks like a pyramid right over in Virginia, the capital. And so they pulled up. They said, "Oh, they call that's Mount Trashmore." So if you pull up Mount Trashmore on Google it right now, they turned it to a park. Now this is supposed to be like a landfill, but why would you shut that and turn a landfill to such a beautiful park with flowers and people go visit like it's an amusement park? And in Virginia called Mount Trashmore. So they trying to, and here in Atlanta, they got a dump truck on top of a pyramid from I-20 going on the west. To fool people, to make you think they just staged it. So we'll find out. This is beautiful. Collectively, you, Ron Hayes, me, Brother Bay, different people, Ashik, all these people, the indigenous people. Yeah, we are teaching, and we got strengths and ways that the other don't have. But when we all come together, we're building a beautiful story about our stories and the history, and we're finding out things. So America, like you said earlier, America is ancient Kemet. This is Egypt. This is Morocco. This is Jerusalem. This is Kemet. This is all of those. This is Rome. Rome, Georgia is right. Rome is in Georgia.
Hmm.
Atlanta is Atlantis. And I show people that giant palace that's over 200,000 square feet here in Atlanta that a lot of people didn't even know was
Wow.
here until I showed that apps built by the indigenous so-called black man were an indigenous so-called black man and woman with tremendous power ruled and stayed in that castle. But that's Mount Trashmore right there. Look at it.
Hmm. Beautiful. Wow. Look at the land. Wow. Wow. Trashmore is what they calling it. That's interesting. Mm.
But now you know we had to be sent. We had to be sent to be given the information out. I mean, talk about groundbreaking information,
Mm-hmm.
deep revelations that we're getting, and putting it all
Mm-hmm.
together. And they find out that all the other races of people which are just used as pawns, created by the other gods because we are gods. But
Absolutely.
but when you think that you're black slaves and you're nothing, that they shoot you with all kind of different chemicals inside your body, and tell you lies. You don't know who you are. And there's power in what you think and then what you say. And if you got our people calling each other bees and hoes and coming against each other, fighting against each other, you got lack, you don't know who you are. And you become what you think, what you set your mouth. You create your hell on earth. And that's what becomes you. But if you
Mm.
start talking high vibrational talk, you start talking like you know who and what you are. Stop operating with low vibrations, and you start operating intentionally. Then
Mm.
life can change for you. Now, a lot of our people are having dreams of dragons, dreams of flying, dreams of being able to run fast. And when they try to harm people with the swords of weaponry is not harming us. And this was
Mm.
they were scared of. And this is the beginning stage. So guys, it's not only about the wealth transfer. I know a lot of people just want you to talk about foreign currencies, gold and silver, and just the wealth transfer. It's way bigger than that.
It
It
is.
is way bigger than that. The
Chief, which is
land. Go ahead. Mhm.
just I want to interject right quick, which is one of the reasons why when you get online, you say pastor said they had a secret meeting, and in this secret meeting, they talked to each other because they were told they have to now release the information about extraterrestrial life, who seeded people here in America and all across the land, and how they must question the things of the Bible because people gonna be shocked when they learn that we are the gods that were seeded by certain entities and a lot of these other people were seeded by other beings. Somebody in the chat said that these blackamoors were children of Enlil, Inky's brother. Then if you guys have
Mhm.
read the book about the Sumerian text, or you read about the book of Enoch, and you learn about the Watchers and the Anunnaki, you'll learn that there's extraterrestrial life. And again, the pastors were told, y'all need to prepare your congregation and let them know that they're about to meet extraterrestrial life, and they're going to learn the truth about who seeded humanity on the planet. And I yield to you, Chief.
Yeah, yeah, guys. For those of you who believe in a so-called one savior and salvation that's coming to save you. I don't care what color it is, so-called white, so-called black. There is no one savior and salvation coming to save all of humanity. I'm sorry to tell you that. So Christianity is baloney. I'm sorry to tell you
Yes,
that.
Chris.
Go ahead,
And,
Skip.
and go ahead. Yes, and a lot of this was created by uh if y'all talk to your pastors, sit them down and ask them to be honest, a lot of them know. They know that a lot of religions were created by people and they in bed with the government. There's no such thing as separation of church and state. They're
I
all
said that in
working.
my life.
Now, and
Oh,
another thing they
if
say,
that,
go ahead. Jesus, wait a minute.
yes.
Jesus says
Listen,
she keeps saying there's no government, but the IRS keeps sending refund checks. It's not the IRS that's sending refund checks. It is the United States Treasury Department. The government is gone, which is why they sent the letters to the pastors to say, wake the people up, let them know what's really happening. The IRS was put under the umbrella of the United States Treasury Department under Trump's first administration. The IRS is gone. He fired workers. He fired the commissioner. They might have IRS name and they might still use some government names, but everything's been transferred to our republic, United States Treasury Department. Thank you for saying that, Jesus. I just want to add to that. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what it is. It's turn around,
Mm-hmm.
and Treasury have
Oh no, you're breaking up, Chief. Sister Janine says people are going to be shocked. They won't be able to handle
it's the
this.
side for the public and the side for the private.
Yes, can you speak on that? The side, and then we're gonna wrap up, Chief, because I have to do.
But this just
go ahead. I'm gonna sit back, Chief, and let you talk, and then
okay.
talk about.
So speak on what?
I was gonna say, go ahead and finish your thought, and then speak on the difference between the private and the public, because I want you to give the final words, and we'll prepare for our private group. Go ahead, take your time. Yes, sir.
You often hear Mr. T talks about the private a lot, and people in the private overstand. See, taxes are for the public, but not for people in the private. Okay, the private sector means people who operate in the private are not citizens but state nationals. People who operate in the private but passports. But most people in the private, that's really in the private, have authenticated their birth certificate in the state they were born in, and then on the federal level, and that is how they became full faith and credit. And you get that on bond paper with a special number attached to it that they sent you back with a copy of your birth certificate authentication on the state level. I have done all of these things. People in the private have removed themselves out of the water and been docked on land. You know, basically, there's a lot that's happening. So I've done all of these things. I know there are certain people who don't believe in pushing paper, but it's something that I've done. And I'll tell you this much: what I have done, I've been able to offset traffic tickets because of these things. And I'm not talking about something somebody else did or another story, or I'm talking to you about what I've done for myself. Because I overstand the surety bonds that they're, and the securities that these tickets are, and they're trying to attach themselves to my state. I have paperwork that I put them all on notice. And I go in the courtroom, I understand a certain verbiage. I understand that I'm not dead. I'm alive. I don't stand up with the judge and say, all rise, because I'm not coming out the grave. I did some paperwork so powerful that I went to court for a traffic ticket. And I went there with my Article 4 badge, me and my team. And the judge was nervous, very nervous. But anyway, I walked out, I put a certain verbiage on the paperwork. And anyway, about 3 months later, I received something in the mail, like asking me nicely, can I make a donation to a food drive? I'm like, get out, I ain't making nothing. They even pleaded with me. How you doing that, sir? If you would be so kind to make a donation to the homeless feed, so a $75 donation to the so-and-so drive. I just laugh. I chuckle. I chuckle. So, it's just a beautiful time to be alive right now, guys. And I'm an honorable man. I'm not out here causing chaos. I'm not out here trying to so-called break the law. I'm not out here speeding, drinking, lying on people, causing chaos. I am an honorable man out in these streets,
Yes,
so I don't need to be governed.
You can govern yourself.
I don't have a dog in the race, so I don't need to be governed. And then when you look at the etymology behind words, govern means control, and it's like short for mental. And that's what people who are feeble-minded, To be government is for people who are dead on paper. And if you're dead on
Right.
paper, that means that they have turned you into a minor so much and to the point that you cannot handle that estate because you're feeble-minded. You don't even you if you don't know enough to bring yourself out of the waters on land. And just so you know, for all you just saved and sanctified and filled with the precious Holy Ghost, baptized, baptism, people who got baptized, just know that your baptism ain't got nothing to do with getting closer to a God, a Savior, or making you holy. It's to submerge you back in the waters and create a bond,
Mm.
which is the birth certificate that they send to the Vatican, and they trade you
The
out
birth
on the
wait,
stock market.
the baptismal papers is created into a bond. Okay. And traded on the stock exchange.
That's right.
Mm.
They get over on you and your religion. Then they allow the pastors to to get 10% out to continue to ask for 10% and a love offering to tell lies.
Mm.
To tell lies. And then the pastors are leveraging their memberships to the banks. The pastors are
Mm.
saying, I got 5,000 members, and that's 5,000 times 10%. And go to the bank and borrow a loan, get a loan for that, and your 10% that you continue to pay is going to pay for that loan for him to live his most amazing life. I'm telling you, man, y'all, church will have, and church,
Well, we got to wake up.
they got a picture of T.D. Jakes uh, at Potter's house. This picture's about maybe 15 or so years old. Well, y'all remember that picture where President Bush was at the Potter's house on stage with T.D. Jakes, whispering in his ears, and T.D. Jakes looked like he swallowed a live turkey. I don't know what he said in his ears, but you can pull that
Mm.
picture up when Bush Jr. was on stage at the Potter's house with T.D. Jakes. T.D. Jakes was sweating like he was inside a deep fryer.
What?
Pull it up.
In Dallas, Texas, they developed a close relation throughout the 2000s. I see. Okay, let me see if I can find it. Oh, well, you don't say. Hold on. Then I want to get, yeah, after you've talked, I'm going to get
Come
into
on now, y'all give it up. Give it
Here
up
it
now.
is. So they're sitting together right here. Leaders interview with T.D. Jakes. Here's Bush Jr., baby Bush, and the Potter's House pastor, T.D. Jakes. There's plenty of images on Google. Here's one big one. Let me see if I can bring that up. Yes.
On stage.
There's no
That's
separation
another.
of church and state. Say that.
There's no separation. Church is government. Church is infiltration.
It is
It's no different.
government control the mind. It is. Here's some more of them at the
They
table
got one,
talking.
but they're on this on the podium talking. T.D. Jakes was standing looking straight ahead, and Bush was saying something inside his ears. T.D. Jakes
Oh.
was sweating like he was out of a deep fryer. He was sweating big time.
Let me see if I can find
It
So
should pull it
what
up.
are you going to say about it? Are you going to say
Well,
something?
it's telling the people that there is no difference between church and government. Church is government.
Mm.
They're running a full court press on you.
Mm-hmm.
These pastors are disinformation agents for this government. Before they came out with that pandemic in 2026, the pastors were already briefed on using their mega churches. They were already briefed on that. To use these churches to warehouse the people to take that poison.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were getting money for that too, to set up these shops to get people to take the poison.
Oh, big time.
Can we shift the discussion just a minute before we go to our private group, Chief?
Sure.
Thank you so much for all the intel you give us, because we got to wake up. All this information is being is going to be disclosed during this era of enlightenment, the Great Awakening, and the era of disclosure. But we started off talking about how universal high income is coming, Chief, how wealth is coming to everybody. And right now, they have universal basic income in certain states where they give people an allotment of money as pilot programs to see how people will react if they're given money or when they're given money. The universal basic income was coming from the government, according to all of our intel, and you can look it up online. The universal high income, Dr. Kia Pruitt is saying, is going to come from the wealth that each land has, the sovereign wealth fund, the resources, the wealth, and our birth certificate bonds. So now that we're in this new era, Chief, I want you to just talk about anything you want as it relates to us getting access to our wealth, how we ought to protect it. And can you say something in 5 minutes, Chief, about that? Access to our wealth, protecting it, etc.
Well, the United States corporation had to be dissolved. It had a
Okay.
strong hold on everything, and we're seeing things happening. Um, the average person is not able to see the things that we see. Those of us in the knowing, they're not able to see these things. But we
Mm,
can see that the United States, once the United States corporation dissolved, then all people, not just us, all people can participate in the wealth transfer. But more
yes.
importantly, is that the indigenous and indigenous people of America, that means that not only do we get a chance to participate in becoming, you know, 100 million as a billionaire, but the land is being turned back over to us through the land deeds, land titles, through your family genealogy. All of the land has been turned back over to us, and it's going to be a hard pill for a lot of people to accept, but it is what it is. So that means that also there's a time coming when our brothers and sisters that are in these prison systems are going to be let loose, let out.
Mm, mm.
Why? It's because they're tapping into their states.
Wow.
So they're going to be out of these. So this is why we have to set up infrastructures for our brothers and sisters that are in these prison systems and being able to move these people away from the inner cities. Now, you don't really see them selling dope on the streets like they used to.
That's true.
Look at that, because that was government ran. But here in Atlanta, I'm
Mm,
watching these young boys that used to be at the West End Mall. Now they're going to tear down the historic West End Mall here in Atlanta, Georgia. Are those young
mm.
boys that were out there standing selling drugs to people? They're not out there now.
That's awesome.
They're not
And
out
and
there.
a lot of these convenience stores that some of the foreign nationals from other places they were running drugs through them, those convenience stores, those gas stations. A lot of nefarious activities was happening there, and with the police as their security guard, they were selling it to these brothers on the street who were selling it to the people in the community. So all of them were involved,
So
and a
all of
lot of
that
these
is. Go ahead, Kim. I'm sorry.
and all of these a lot of these gangs too were funded by the government and entertainers. A lot of these entertainers, rappers, they were all involved in the drug game. Not all of them, but
Oh,
many of them.
most all of them, Kim. Most all of them. Most all
Most
of
all
them.
of them.
And this is beautiful that we're bringing. This is so beautiful that we're bringing this out because
Mhm.
these entertainers they're part of it too. And the so-called black entertainers, they're not us. That
I was
Esau and Jacob, story in the Bible.
mm-hmm.
You don't know. It's the so-called melanated brother against another melanated brother. The Esau,
A
they,
lot
they
of these
said
entertainers, they're not even
they're not.
indigenous. A lot of these entertainers, a lot of these people on YouTube, a lot of these people in politics, they're not indigenous. They might look like us, but they are not us. They're not Americans.
This is why they don't want to talk to you, smile, because they're on higher.
Hmm. I'm
They're
not
on
saying
higher.
that
These are
some of
the
our people, I'm not saying some of our people aren't involved because they are, but I'm saying a lot of them are not us. I'm gonna take this call. Go
and,
ahead, Chief.
okay. Yeah, a lot of these people are not us, guys. So this is why we need to be our own celebrities, be each other's heroes and sheroes, because I mean they run a full court press on us, guys. These people are not like us. And a lot of time when Kendrick Lamar was singing that song saying they're not like us, he wasn't talking about us. He was talking about them. They're not like
Mhm.
us. He was talking about them. And listen, these other guys created people. They created mankind. So when you see
Mm-hmm.
celebrities on TV, these are this beat system is only going to put on that television what they created or have control over. I'm sorry. They're only going to allow people under their jurisdiction who's going to follow that lead to continue to lie to people because it said the adversary is the prince of the air. But now that the beast system is being dismantled, which is the United States Corporation, a lot of things, it's not going to all happen all at once, but
Mm-hmm.
you're going to start seeing things happen. Those of us who have the understanding that this land is our land, we can start taking the necessary steps to get this land back, get the wealth back, and land is wealth.
Land is well. You know
Because
how you were
I,
talking. Go ahead.
go ahead. No, go ahead.
You were talking about how a lot of these the beings created other people. That's why they talked about the whole three-fifths rule. They were trying to say that we're three-fifths of a human. Speaking of indigenous, autonomous people classified erroneously as Black and African American, but everything's been turned around. It's not us that were three-fifths of a person. It was a lot of these other races that were created. They are three-fifths of so-called human beings, and they have animal DNA and other DNA mixed in with it. But they try to make us feel bad by saying, "Oh, you're only three-fifths of a man. Your brain is smaller than this." They were lying. Almost everything we were taught was in reverse. Go ahead, and I yield to you too.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
They told us that we couldn't read, we couldn't write, we didn't do this. Man, we were the smartest. They didn't have a number on us. They switched everything around.
They
Told us that our
did.
last names came from these people. Now we found out that the last names that they took our last names.
Our last name.
They took our last name. I got the clip where there was a white gentleman saying how the Slavics, if you put up Slavics, the word slave came from, they're the
Yeah.
ones who came here on those slave ships.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They're the slaves, not us. We were POWs. So the
And
truth is coming out.
it's
Go ahead.
coming out. I know some people that are European or Caucasian that say things like, "My ancestors were slaves." They'll tell you, "My ancestors were slaves," but they were like, but nobody talks about that. And I feel what they're saying. They're like, everybody keeps talking about, only so-called African American slaves, but my ancestors, will we get repaired too? But you're not taught that in school. The government doesn't tell you that other people that came here were the Slavs. They were the Slavic. They were the slaves that came from Europe, and that's why they wore blackface in Hollywood to let you know that the melanated beings that enslaved the planet was actually controlling things, and that they were the slaves that were created and brought here to take over different land masses. So
They did, and they did. They took over.
and you still
But
have, like, in Spain, where they taunt the bull, and they have those bull races, and the bull represents the Moors or the blackamoors or the black hidden hand that they're taunting, and they're controlling him, and they have the red flag. The red represents the Moors. They're taunting the bull. There it's actually a historical traditional thing that they do, telling a story about how they were fighting against the hidden hand, the blackamoors, these beings they look like humans, but they ain't. They look like us, but they're not us.
you know, wow, if I'm not mistaken, was the first to post this picture.
Okay.
Been some years,
Rod
some years
Hayes.
ago. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, and it showed the Ku Klux Klan, and there was this older so-called black guy and his wife sit down in a chair,
Mm-hmm.
and the handshake they were doing was that of the hidden hand. The handshake the black guy was doing, we
Mm-hmm.
walked the handshake. But when you take a really, really close look at the eyes behind some of those masks, they were melanated people.
Mm.
They were melanated.
Conquistadors. Mm.
And it's mighty funny when they made that skit of Dave Chappelle when he was blind and he was saying white power, white power. He was like, and he had these white guys. They was taking him around to
Mm-hmm.
do speeches to the other white folks, talking about white power. So these white people, they took him to one rally, And the white people are like, oh, we want to see your face, oh great grand wizard. We want to see your
Mm,
face, oh master great grand wizard. And the other two white guys didn't want people to see his face because they knew he was black.
mm,
So when they said, no, oh, he's just a great, we got to see your face. When they took that mask, the hood off his face, and the white folks saw that he was black, they exploded because they weren't able to handle what they were seeing. But
wow.
what they were trying to tell you is that the hidden hand of the people behind creating the Ku Klux Klan was the nobility.
Mm, mm,
That's what they were trying to tell you. The white folks didn't create none of these so-called hate groups and all that. And the best thing they did was cause chaos amongst all people and bring people over here as pawns. So we wouldn't focus on. Then gave us religion and told us
mm.
that the Hebrew Israelites came here on slave ships. Oh, well, the white man is Esau. And how's the white man Esau? Well, the white man. Guys, you're gonna find out. Right? There's a reason why you are found as only in the 1800s. That's a
Hmm.
reason you came out of nowhere only in the 1800s. Because if you start talking about the 1700s, 16, 15, you wouldn't be able to find you because you were created. And this
Yeah.
is not what we're hearing. We're hearing about the Cabbage Patch children, people created in incubators are being plucked like, don't, this is why, guys. And I'm sorry, it's a
Mm,
hard pill to swallow. I get it.
mm,
Because if it was
sorry.
me, I would be shocked and I would be upset as well. And this is
Mhm,
not to bring shame, trying to make you feel bad or smaller. So you have some beautiful people, beautiful minds that are white, and people who didn't know the information that we're putting out there right now. And not all white people are bad
mm,
people. And just like you have good and bad in every race of people, guys. But with the truth need to be told because there's going to come a time when you guys, all different races, you're going to need our help. You're going to need our help.
mm.
And because
Absolutely.
that's a power, an authority, and a danger that's coming to this earth that's not coming to harm us. But in the Bible, they got truths and lies. But in the part that's saying that every nation of people is going to yield to us for our protection. That's in the Old Testament. Or the other
Mm,
books, they took out the Bible and they give you guys a New Testament with watered down baloney. And you need to know these things because the very people that have been talked about, ridiculed, persecuted, and defamed are the people who are going to be the saviors and salvation of humanity.
mm.
Watch.
Chief, if the people want to get in contact with you for a trust or for consultation, how can they reach you?
You can reach me at Unity in Motion 45 at yahoo.com.
Let me put that in the
You,
chat. Go ahead.
and that's the consultation is a $75 consultation. Uh, and we could talk now. If when I found everybody should have a trust. If you got people that you love, they need to have a trust. And prefer the foundational 508c1a irrevocable trust, which is set up as a foundation and ministry, because that way you guys can give to each other. This is what the rich and wealthy have been doing for years.
Yeah.
Giving it, giving to each other's foundation, and it become a tax write-off. So
Mm,
I'm on the special because this thing's about to go down soon.
okay.
So if anybody that gets a trust from me, you get a second trust for free.
Oh, wow. Now, why would
I
they
would do
need
it.
more than one trust, Chief?
Well, I mean that's the you want to need at least a trust because when the RV happens, they're not going to put that wealth in a regular bank account. If you try to put wealth in a regular bank account, they're going to take it from you.
Mm,
So there has to be a trust. Whether you get a trust from me, someone else, or the bank. And listen, if you don't, the bank trust is known as a skeleton trust. You don't want to get a trust for them. So I have so many people that are getting that trust open at the bank who are receiving their foreign EIN numbers. And wherever they play ball, you got a foreign EIN number, which is the spirit, and the trust documentation, which is the body. And you put those two together. Now you got a brand new living soul. There's
okay.
also a living revocable trust that I do as well. The living revocable trust is more so for your assets like cars, houses, land, because it's easy. It's a revocable trust, so you can always add additional properties to that if you want to through a Schedule A. with a living revocable trust.
Keep
So,
talking, Chief. I got to talk to my mom. Hold on.
okay, so for those of you that get a trust, brother, especially you get a trust, you get another trust, which is a living revocable trust for your assets. Because as soon as you get some liquidity, when the rich purchase and buy things, they don't just get one car. They get maybe 3 or 4 cars at one time. And so you would have at least a living revocable trust and have that trust number and put that car, a house, or those 3 or 4 cars in that trust and that property's name. Put that
Okay.
property and that trust name all at once. You can buy 3 cars at one and have them all in that trust name.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Chief. So, Chief, thank you so much. I don't mean to rush as my mom just called. We got a family emergency.
Okay.
But thank you so much. Thank you, family. Quickly, Chief, you brought this up on your channel. Chief Rod Hayes also brought this up, and that is that President Donald Trump, excuse me, has a new note coming out, and it has a gold inkwell on it. That new note signifies the return to the gold standard. That's why there's a gold inkwell on it. That's slated to come out in June. President Trump's birthday is June the 14th. As you all know, 14 is the symbol that Sheikh Jacob Bey taught us about. It's the end of one king and the resurrection of a number. 14 represents the ideology of white supremacy. Backwards is 41, which is kings. This is the end of that whole system of supremacy of not so-called white people, but an institution or an ideology to cause division between people. So this gold standard is coming online very soon. That's why Chief says get a trust. Contact him at unityemotion45@yahoo.com for a trust or consultation. The fee is only $75. You will pay that fee at Cash App, $Allen Judah 47. That's $Allen Judah 47. $75 for a consultation fee. Email him at unityemotion45@yahoo.com. Look it up. President Donald Trump's note is slated to come out. It has the inkwell here, which means it is on the gold standard. It will be issued out by the United States Treasury Department, not by the Federal Reserve Central Banking System. That banking system is insolvent. It doesn't have any power. The printing this Treasury Department, because the Treasury is part of our lawful republic. Again, it's coming out this year, which commemorates the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, and it's also the 25th anniversary year of 9/11, when we were supposed to have our wealth and our freedom to come out. This is happening during his 80th birthday year. 8 represents the number of prosperity, wealth, abundance, gold. All of this is happening, family. So even though you see gold prices going down, stocks collapsing, everything's collapsing, everybody's dropping United States Treasury notes, Bitcoin's collapsing, please know this is an opportunity for you to accumulate wealth and make sure you protect it. Thank you, Sister Janine, for putting my Cash App in the chat, $MAMAKIA 13, Mama Kia 13. This is a time, family, for you to you can, if it's in your butt, to get wealth, but make sure you also protect it. So it is also the time of Nassar. We're all going to be wealthy. Stay encouraged. And I give Chief you got 1 minute, Chief, if you got it in you, for final words before I go and call my mama back. We got some family things going on I need to talk to mama about.
Well, I just want to say we're closer than ever to this wealth. We're closer than ever. So guys, continue to be prayerful, operate in high vibration. Purge and clean your hearts. Continue to be uplifted, speak high vibration over yourself, because really soon we're going to be able to walk in that bank and a new man, become a new man, a new woman. Heaven was always supposed to be on earth and not in some afterlife. They lied to you. Mm-hmm. So I want heaven to be a possibility for all of the people who deserve it of it, all the people who are righteous, to live your most amazing life, because we all have gone through something. We all have gone through enough. So I don't want to be at odds and fight with people. That's not me. And I hope that anybody that's listening, if you hadn't cleaned your heart, now's the time to come to the altar and clean your heart and break the generational curses off your bloodline. There's no need to be at odds and arguing and lying on people and being nasty. And if that's you, just know that the enemy has a hold on your life, if that's you, because nobody should be operating like that. So I just want to just encourage people that we are so close to them hitting that switch. If you don't have any foreign currency, if this is your first time hearing us, get you some foreign currency. It's the cheapest, or gold and silver. Get
Wait.
some.
They can, yes, sir. Get some, and they can join our private group for. Wait, go ahead and talk to you. But if they want, because somebody they want information on the cost and the website, join our private group, and we're going to talk about that in a few minutes. But
Okay,
go ahead, Chief, say what
go.
you're going to say.
Right. So join the private group, and we're going to detail on how you can obtain that. Just a simple $200 or $300 can make you a multi-millionaire. So join with a small fee, join, and you get all the detailed information, guys.
And Chief will also talk to you about what to do with that trust. Okay, so join the private group if you're interested. But y'all follow us enough. You follow Chief Mac, go to his YouTube channel. You'll know a little bit more about investments. But we go in depth in our private group. So that's it, Chief. Thank you so much for blessing me with a gift today, Chief. I thank you. You blessed me. Family, join a private group. Here's what it looks like. Go to the Dr. Kia Pruitt channel on YouTube, and I also put the link in the description section and in the chat. But Chief Mac, you took care of me today. I wasn't even expecting it. Thank you for blessing me with the Cash App gift. It's right on time. Thank you. I appreciate you.
You're welcome.
For being the chief of the Soul Tribe. That's it, family. Let us know what you think in the comments section. Some of you say you have questions for Chief Mac that you intend to ask him tonight. Chief, what time are you coming tonight?
Up about 9 o'clock.
Okay, so we'll watch you. Make sure you go to the Chief Mac Show on YouTube. He's going live tonight. He will dig further into some of the topics we talked about tonight. So we love you, family. We appreciate you. Chief, I apologize for cutting things off. I need to call my mom back.
Okay.
Okay, and in a few minutes, we're going to be on the private group sharing just some intel. I got some information, Chief, I want to share with you, let you know that these investors know about, and I only learned from getting newsletters from investors, what's going on behind the scenes, okay? So we'll talk about that in the private group. I love you, family. Thank you for being here.
Okay, guys. See you here. Let's talk later.
Love you. Bye, family. Make this a great day. Bye-bye.
Raising vibrations for one and all.
And thank you for all the Cash App gifts, family. You are so gracious in blessing me with Cash App gifts. And thank you for Sister Janine putting up my Cash App $ Mama Kia 13, MAKIA 13. My mom's calling me. My grandchildren like, Granny, come over to Auntie's house. We made some cupcakes with no adults' help. This is going to be interesting. So I'll see you all later. I'll see your comments in the section.
Breaking chains that hold us close, teaching paths to abundance and wealth, guiding others to freedom.
For those of you who just joining the show, we talked about universal high income. That's different from universal income. Universal gives people a small allotment of money to cover their basic needs. It's been happening for a while, since the 60s, doing pilot tests of different states, giving them a little money to see how people will respond to it. That comes from the government. Universal high income is a high allotment of money that each person all across the world will get, coming from their birth certificate bonds, their social security numbers, and or trust from different dynasties and sovereign wealth funds, that each nation all across the world has a sovereign wealth fund comprised of land, real estate, precious metals, rare earth minerals, trade deal agreements, foreign currencies. All of that wealth is coming back to all of you. And this is why everybody is tightening up their immigration policies, because in order to receive that wealth from your sovereign wealth fund, you have to go back to the land of your ancestors, or wherever you are foreign national, or where nationality status, you go back there, you receive your wealth. Then you can come back to America and other places and travel freely and do trade and barter agreements. It's an exciting time to be alive. But universal high income is coming from the sovereign wealth fund, because AI is taking over, and they're going to produce an abundance of wealth and prosperity, and will live in a new reality. You're going to need money to enjoy that income. So look it up. The Jetsons has a show out. In fact, there's a show, The Jetsons, that's coming out, a movie in 2026. So you want to look at the pilot of The Jetsons and see what they're talking about. The reasons why they're producing trailers about The Jetsons is because it's a whole new time, a whole new reality. We're going to live like The Jetsons live. So for all of you that are still here, while I call my mom up, I'm going to turn down this music, and I'm just going to do you one better. I'm going to show you this program about the Jetsons. This movie's coming out in 2026 for a reason, okay? Here's a trailer of it. Enjoy, and I'll see you on the other side.
Jetson! Now, for the first time ever on DVD, it's The Jetsons, the complete first season. 24 original episodes, including the rarely seen.
And by the way, the private group will be meeting in about 10 minutes, family. But well, let's make it 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So join the private group membership. Go to Dr. Kia Pruitt on my YouTube channel, or hit the join button, or go to any of my videos, hit join, follow the prompts, and you'll be a member.
Jetson! Now, for the first time ever on DVD, it's The Jetsons, the complete first season. 24 original episodes, including the rarely seen pilot. They go to work like a normal family.
Those 3-hour work days are killing me.
They walk the dog like a normal family. They even cook dinner like a normal family.
A typical American-type TV family.
But is this family really normal?
No.
Well, they're as normal as they can be in the 21st century.
Hi, Pop.
In these gravity-defying original episodes that will have you doing rings around your solar system.
I can hardly wait to play them for my Pop.
With a meteor shower of special features that are out of this world, including the coolest gadgets this side of the Milky Way. And look at the smart mouth robot.
Quiet down, Shorty. Rosie, you are out of this universe.
A unique solar tribute to our friends from Orbit City.
Nice landing, Joe.
Commentaries with Jam and Judy Jetson.
Say something, Judy.
I think I'm gonna faint.
Blast off bios and more.
I'll bet it's a real ring-a-ding-a-dinger.
Look for the complete first season of The Jetsons on DVD. A 4-disc collection with over 10 hours of out-of-this-world entertainment. And don't miss these other Warner Home Video cartoon classic collections.
So that's just a little bit about the Jetsons. That's a series that's going to be out, but they're also going to have a movie in 2026 because this is the golden era. And if you grew up in the 60s and 70s like me, that was a cartoon that actually showed how wealthy everybody would be, how we would have flying cars and freedom cities, advanced technology, and robots actually working for us. That is the era into which we are going, family. So stay encouraged, prepare. This is a beautiful time to live in, family. It is a beautiful time to be alive. So universal high income is coming. This is why Elon Musk has been talking about it, but he's not the only one. Economists are actually also talking about universal high income, which is an allotment of funds coming to everybody all across the planet so that we can enjoy wealth. Look it up and study it, family. It's different from universal basic income, which covered basic needs. Again, those were test pilots or different programs to experiment to see how people would respond. We're in that reality. Stay encouraged and know this is your time. Know that we're all wealthy. It is coming. Say, I'm wealthy. I'm abundant. I'm rich. Imagine how wonderful this is going to be. Like, live in that moment. What are you going to do when you wake up in the morning or in the rising as a wealthy person that you are, knowing and seeing that wealth in your bank account, looking at the gold and the silver that you've been collecting? How is that going to make you feel? I want you to think about that. You're wealthy. Hi, Ra-Ra. See, my grandson says, hi, Granny. Let's go, Ra-Ra's in the chat. Hey, grandson, I'm going to come over and test your vegan muffins, or is it vegan cupcakes shortly? Okay. I love you, Ra-Ra. Tell me I said hello too. I want you to think about that. You're wealthy now. Now I'm going to be not one day it's coming. No, you are wealthy now in the present moment. Tell yourself, I'm wealthy. I'm rich. Abundance is my birthright. Wealth is my birthright. How does that make you feel knowing you're wealthy? Knowing you have universal high income. I love you more. Right now in your quantum account, somebody in the comment section said we already have accounts full of wealth. How does that make you feel? You are wealthy. It doesn't matter what it looks like to the natural eye. I want you to overtake any thoughts of doubt that try to seep in your mind. I am wealthy. Wealth is my birthright. Abundance is my birthright. Sovereignty is my birthright. I am wealthy now. Think about how that feels. Write it out. Draw. Get some paper, construction paper or paper. And this is your homework assignment. Draw. What are you doing now in the rising when you awaken in the morning, now that you're wealthy? Do you drink a cup of coffee? Do you go out to your field? You convey your land? Do you talk to your husband? You're making love to your spouse? You're speaking to your children? What are you doing as you rise in the morning? You're wealthy now. Draw it out. I'm wealthy now. I rise up in the morning and I do this. You can either draw it out. You can cut out pictures. You can get pictures from the websites and draw it out. Are you looking at gold? Put land on there. This is your homework assignment. You're wealthy now. Draw it out or write it out or create pictures or vision boards of what your life looks like right now that you're wealthy. Then I want you to put that vision board up or those pictures, whatever it is that you draw. Now that you're wealthy, what does your wealthy, luxurious lifestyle look like? Who is your companion? What do your children look like? What are you wearing? What type of precious metals do you have? What type of land do you have? And if you don't want to draw it out, write a journal. I woke up this morning, now that I'm wealthy, and I turn over and I kiss my spouse. He looks like A, B, and C. We go take a bath together. Then we sit at the table. This is what our table looks like. And I have plants or flowers on my coffee table. We kiss each other and we talk about what we're going to do for the day. Create a journal or a picture or a vision board. Now that you're wealthy, what does that look like? Attach joyous emotions to it and start acting like it. Right now, no matter how much money your bank account says it has, if you have some gold, put it on and walk around with it. Some jewelry, some silver, some real jewelry, silver, or you can get sterling silver. That's 92% silver. Go to an antique shop, a pawn shop, doesn't matter. Your coin company that's near you, wear some silver, copper, which is inexpensive, or gold. Wear your finest clothes, even if it might not be silk or whatever you have, and walk around like the gods and goddesses that you are, because you're abundant now, you're wealthy now. And trust me, you will manifest that in your reality. If I be lifted up, I will draw all men unto me, is what the Christ said. And people thought that was only about being lifted up on the cross, then he would draw all men unto me. But if you know the metaphysical meaning of that, if I be lifted up, if I lift up my thoughts and my consciousness, and I know that I'm wealthy, I lift up my frequencies and know that I am God, a creator. If I be lifted up, I will draw all manifestations unto me. The Christ said, if I be lifted up, I'll draw all men or men unto me. You are the Christ. You are Christos consciousness. That's what Corona was about. Corona means crown, as in that part above your head. Your Christos consciousness. There's a whole chakra above your head. That Christos consciousness, your crown chakra, is awakening. It's opening up during this new golden age. That's what Corona was really about. If I be lifted up in my thoughts, in my frequencies, in my vibrations, in my consciousness, I will draw all manifestations unto me. Everything I desire, everything that I need, everything that I hope for is within me. So if I be lifted up, I will draw all manifestations unto me. No man cometh unto me except the Father draws him, is what the Christ said. You are the Christ. The Christ is just Messiah, the anointed one. No man comes unto me. No manifestations come unto me, except the Father draws the manifestation unto me. Who is the Father? I and the Father are one, is what the scripture says. This is a Sunday sermon. I and the Father are one. If I be lifted up, all manifestations will come unto me. No manifestations come unto me except the Father draws him, except I think about it and draw it unto myself. You are the magnet. You are the God. You are the manifestation. All you got to do is raise up your vibration of frequencies and know that you are God. The scripture says you are gods and sons of the Most High. In Genesis, it said the Creator gave you dominion. That's power. When the Christ rose from the dead, he said, all power is given unto me. You have the power. You are Christos consciousness. You are, Christ means Messiah, the anointed one. You were anointed. You are anointed. You were Christian. You were born and destined for this time, which is why you're alive right now. If I be lifted up in my thoughts and in my vibrational frequencies, all manifestations will be drawn unto me. No manifestation can come unto me except the Father, my highest thoughts, attracted unto me. And the moment you make up your mind, the universe will conspire to assist you. My name is Dr. Kia Pruitt. I'll see you in the private 10 minutes, 30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I can see you.
So try rising.
Remember your homework assignment, because I'm gonna ask you about it tomorrow. And by the way, today at 5:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the markets will open, the Forex open. So gold and silver, which are down right now, could increase. It could go down even further, but the markets open at 5:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we'll go to sleep on a Sunday and wake up Monday morning to a whole
raising vibrations for and all. Dr. Kia lights the way to a new and brighter day.
Person that say you are not Christ, you should say you are not Christ, because you are who you say you are. Not only am I Christ, Christ just means anointed one, the messenger. I am a messenger. That's why you're right here right now on the podcast, my darling, because I'm an anointed one, because I have a message that you listen to religiously. Okay. So the anointed ones are the ones that have come back and decided to deliver a message of hope. And those that want to receive it will receive it. And the rest of those can leave. But you're here because you desire to be here. Ra, my grandson, said we made vegan chocolate cupcakes. Woo-wee, son. Some of us are vegan and vegetarian. I love you, grandson. Thank you. The scripture told you you are gods. If you follow the Bible, your Bible called you gods. Your Bible. In Psalms and in the New Testament, some people, please read your Bibles. I am God. You are a creator. Much love, family. My family's called me. Peace. I love you. Bye-bye.